Radio legend Casey Kasem died at the age of 82 on Father's Day. And what I'd like to examine about such an amazing and successful life is what can we all take away from it? And one person who spent some one-on-one time with Casey Kasem is another radio legend himself, Rusty Humphries. His latest Washington Times article is about what he learned from Casey Kasem's life, and Rusty joins us here today. Rusty, welcome to Smart Life. Good to have you back, my friend.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gina. How's it going?
Always glad to have you. Now, Casey Kasem, wow, I mean, such a part of, I don't know, I mean, I can just start going with all the mantra, because such a part of what made me want to be in media, what made me fall in love with radio. I remember laying there with my little radio in my bed, listening to his dedications, waiting to see what song was going to be #1. But you got to meet him in person, and nobody tells a story better than you, Rusty, so I'm giving it to you.
Well, I did a documentary on radio called Radio in America, the Jockumentary, back in 1991, and I called him kind of out of the blue just to see if he would be a part of it. 15 minutes later, I get a phone call right back. "Hello, Rusty, this is Casey." And Casey Kasem's on the phone. He was very kind, and we had a very nice conversation. "If you're ever out in Hollywood, I'd love to be a part of your video." So I went out there, and I'm very, very excited about meeting him. And the first thing he says to me when I finally meet him is, "Are you going to shoot my pants?"
Meaning with the camera, yeah.
I don't think so. "Okay, I'll go change my pants." Okay. So we started the interview, and he's very uncomfortable, and I couldn't understand it. And I finally said, "Dude, you're Casey Kasem, man. You're Shaggy. This is like really cool for me." So he lightens up a little bit.
Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. I didn't even know that until I read that in your column. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so he finally lightens up, and there was one question I really wanted to ask him about, and it was about this particular tape. There is a tape of Casey Kasem where he absolutely loses it while doing a long-distance dedication about a dead dog named Cuddles. And I mean, he loses it, and the profanity flew out of him with the grace of a prima ballerina. I mean, it was bad. And I said, "Casey, I'd like to ask you about the tape." And he says, "I've never talked about the tape." I said, "Well, the guys that played the tape on the radio are the same guys that are watching this video. Maybe you can get them to change it." So he says, "Okay, I told Oprah I wouldn't do it, but I'll do it for you."
So wait, let me get this straight. So he told Oprah he wouldn't relay that story to her on her show, but he's going to do it for Rusty Humphries.
How about that?
Yeah,
huh?
that's cool.
Well, I think it was more because it was for radio, but he was very a guy that cared about disc jockeys. He cared about radio people. So he told the story about how in the 80s, when music was really hard driving, Bon Jovi was really big, and those kind of music, and every time they would give him these long distance dedications about a dead dog or something, he would go into this hard driving rock song, and it drove him nuts. And he goes, and Rusty, I got to tell you, I lost it. I wish I hadn't lost it, but I did. I lost it, and I'm sorry. Anyway, so it was a great story, and we did it. It was a wonderful day, and I said, "Hey, Casey, I need you to sign this release form." And he says, "Well, I'll show it to my attorney, and I'll get back to you." So the next day, "Hello, Rusty, this is Casey. I talked to my attorney. My attorney said, 'Casey, you're out of your blanket mind if you sign this thing.'" "All right, what do you want me to do, Casey?" "Rusty, just do the video, and if it's good, I'm sure it will be. Happy to do it."
Because anyone who has done this kind of thing where you get the interview and you've got it on tape and it went relatively well, at least it's editable, and then someone says, "Send it to me and I'll see if I'll sign the release," you're just kind of dying 1,000 deaths inside. I've so been there, done that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I got video gold because he's the first time he's ever talked about this tape. So 9 months goes by and everything is perfect. I send him the video. I'm not even worried about it. I'm ready to take my bow. Casey Kasem's going to think I'm the greatest broadcaster of all time. I get the phone. "Hello, Rusty, this is Casey. I saw the video. It's great. You can't use me." What? Well, how many lighting crews did you use on Rush Limbaugh? How much did you spend? "Casey, we didn't do anything." So this is where it really...
It was the hair and the makeup.
It was.
Yeah, so I think I got a little bit of Casey Kasem genetics in me, because that, Rusty, I'm not going to lie, that would matter to me too. Bad hair and makeup matters.
I know, it does. Well, yeah, but here's the thing that was amazing. He says, "Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll pay to fly you and your cameraman out to Hollywood. We'll reshoot it. We'll use my lighting crew and my makeup people, and we'll do it again.
There you go.
He must have spent $10,000.
Hmm.
He's only in the video for 4 minutes. Now, you could say that this was a big ego thing. You could say that this is a guy that was a control freak. But in looking back at his life and what he was doing, it was that Casey Kasem was a perfectionist. It was what he was. He wanted to make sure that his portion on my video was the best he could make it, that his long distance dedications were perfect, that his commercials were perfect. And so what the lesson of Casey Kasem is that you can keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars, meaning keep knowing who it is that you are, but always strive to be a better person. And that's what Casey Kasem did his whole life.
When he did fly you back out there, he put you in his mansion. You were there. You saw the tennis courts, the golf course, all the trappings. Was he caught up in that?
I think he was a little bit, and he certainly was what we would have considered a big liberal. He and I didn't agree on anything politically, and I realized very quickly, even back then, that was not something we needed to continue a discussion with. But the thing about Casey Kasem was, he wasn't a guy that said, okay, I want the government to be paying for all these things. He said, you know what? I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to do what I believe is right, and I'll pay for it. And to me, I respect that. That's, when Jesus said, you are your brother's keeper, it was me. I'm my brother's keeper. Gina, you're your brother's keeper. It's not the government's job. It's my job to do what I'm called to do. And Casey Kasem believed that for himself.
And I'm not going to make excuses for liberals going back that far, but in his day, someone who was a liberal was quite a different breed of animal than what is a liberal today, at least from an elite standpoint, I think, don't you?
Maybe. I mean, he certainly, he was around during other times. I mean, he certainly has the trappings of he could have been a much more limousine liberal. He was a guy that, again, fought his way to the top. He earned his position. He was a guy, nothing was given to him. And because of that, he felt he had to give back. And he wanted to give back what it was that he earned, not give back what it was that I earned or you earned.
Very interesting. Also, another interesting point, there's been a lot of speculation and innuendo regarding his wife and her spat with his children. You've met both. Tell us your impression.
The only thing I can tell you is the time I spent at Casey Kasem's house, Jean Kasem, his wife, who I was a big fan of from that TV show, The Tortellis and Cheers, she made an effort to not come out, made an effort to not say hello, and did everything she could to stay in the back. And I kind of got the feeling Casey was walking on eggshells around her. I don't know what was going on that day. I can tell you that his daughter, Carrie Kasem, I've done a number of things with her in the business. She is funny, sweet, intelligent, very much cares about what everybody else thinks around her. She was somebody who could have gotten the job as Casey Kasem's daughter and didn't. I mean, she was the one that really has worked her way up and continues to do so. So I've always had a lot of respect for Carrie Kasem.
Thanks for being with us. Catch Rusty's commentaries at thewashingtontimes.com and talk to Rusty on Twitter.